So viewers, a plan to curb Delhi's massive air pollution problem has been announced. The BJP has announced a host of new measures that will aim to tackle this worsening problem experienced by Delhiites. It's expected to be implemented in the coming days. After a marathon meeting held by the Delhi Sarkar to tackle this issue, an announcement was made by the Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa that detailed multiple new measures that will be rolled out to battle air pollution. The one that has the eyes of all are how cars that are older than 15 years will be turned away from the petrol pumps and will not be allowed to refuel with petrol or diesel. So there will be gadgets that will be installed at these petrol pumps that will determine the age of the car, and if your vehicle crosses the age limit of 15 years, you will not actually be allowed to refuel at the petrol pumps. Now, viewers, let's take you through the overview of the measures that have been announced. As mentioned, petrol pumps will be equipped with specialized gadgets that will identify the age of the vehicles, and those older than 15 years will not be allowed to refuel. On several of the measures that have been taken. Remember, previously, this was one of the biggest promises that the BJP has made as well. The severe AQI days, the Delhi will see artificial rain as well. There is an assurance that the necessary permissions will be secured and experts will also be consulted in the implementation of this. In fact, all high-rise buildings and hotel establishments will also be equipped with anti-smog guns on the rooftops. There will be dedicated teams that will be stationed at key entry points into Delhi to prevent the entry of the older vehicles into the city. The Delhi government has also planned to give credit to the Delhi University students who actively participate in the government-organized plantation drives across Delhi. In fact, there are also plans that are currently in place to convert barren land in the national capital into green spaces as part of the government's green initiative. The central government has also pledged to fully back these efforts to repair and rebuild the potholes and damaged roads across Delhi.
आज मुख्य रूप से उन्होंने कहा है कि 15 साल से पुराने वाहनों को पेट्रोल डीजल नहीं दिया जाएगा, सख्ती होगी, तो उससे जो हमारा कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड का उत्सर्जन होता है उसमें कमी आएगी। साथ ही साथ जो दिल्ली की सड़कों पर मलबा कचरा पड़ा रहता है वो नहीं डलना चाहिए, उस पर भी फैसला हुआ, वो भी स्वागत योग्य है। जो पब्लिक पार्टिसिपेशन की आज बात की गई कि दिल्ली के स्कूल और कॉलेजेस के बच्चों से वो हरियाली बढ़ाने पे काम किया जाएगा, वो सारे बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स की मॉनिटरिंग होगी और सोर्स ऑफ एयर पोल्यूशन पे काम होगा। मुझे लगता है कि सरकार की नीयत ठीक लग रही है और आने वाले समय में इसके अच्छे रिजल्ट भी मिलेंगे और सरकार को सभी पर्यावरणविदों के साथ मिलकर भी काम करना चाहिए।
So politics was at play as soon as the measures were announced, with Sirsa finding a fault in the previous Aam Aadmi Party Sarkar, claiming that they did not effectively tackle the air pollution problem in Delhi. On the other hand, the Aam Aadmi Party leader Reena Gupta labelled the BJP an unscientific party, claiming that there was no study that was done as a reference for these measures. Listen in.
वही लगभग 3-3.5 घंटे जिसमें हमने ये जानने की कोशिश की कि बीमारियां क्या हैं और उसके समाधान क्या हैं। तो सबसे बड़ी पहली बीमारी ये पता चली कि पिछली सरकार ने एक भी कदम नहीं उठाया दिल्ली के पोल्यूशन को कम करने के लिए, चाहे वो पानी का पोल्यूशन हो चाहे हवा का। मैं आज जो बात करूं केवल हवा के पोल्यूशन की बात कर रहा हूं, एयर पोल्यूशन पे हमारी बैठक थी। अभी तक जो हमने फंड्स उनको दिए हैं उसको कभी यूटिलाइज किया ही नहीं गया। हजारों करोड़ रुपया एज इट इज पड़ा हुआ है जिसको नहीं किया गया। अभी हमने बहुत सारे आज पैरामीटर्स को तय किया है जो आने वाले दिनों में हम इंप्लीमेंट करने जा रहे हैं। 3 विषय हैं दिल्ली में। एक, पोल्यूशन जो है वो डस्ट पोल्यूशन है। दूसरा पोल्यूशन वो व्हीकल से पोल्यूशन दिल्ली के अंदर हो रहा है, इन चीजों के, और तीसरा पोल्यूशन जो है वो भी कंस्ट्रक्शन से रिलेटेड है।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार एकदम अनसाइंटिफिक सरकार है। ऐसी कोई स्टडी नहीं है जिसके बेसिस पे इन्होंने ये बैन लगाया है, पहली बात। दूसरी बात, आपने एकदम शॉर्ट टर्म, जिसको कहते हैं कि बिना सोचे समझे ये बैन आप लगा रहे हैं। इससे क्या होगा कि पेट्रोल पंप पे चेकिंग शुरू होगी, लंबी लंबी गाड़ियों की लाइन लग जाएगी। और ये बैन दिल्ली में लगाने से क्या होगा? अगर आप पूरे एनसीआर में, जहां हर जगह आप ही की सरकार है, आप एनसीआर एरिया में कोऑर्डिनेशन करके कुछ नई स्ट्रैटेजी बनाएं जिसकी वजह से दिल्ली का प्रदूषण कम हो तो हम सब लोग खुश हों।
How is this going to affect your life? That's what we're going to be discussing. Pradeep Datta and Shivam are joining us on the broadcast with the details. Pradeep, the update is that the vehicles which are older than 15 years can't even refuel in the national capital. So this is going to affect several people across the national capital in an attempt to curb the air pollution in Delhi. What are the details? How are you seeing it play out?
So for the last few years, we have seen that Delhi has been facing pollution problem, because of which many times the people had been seen gasping for breath, and almost Delhi gets converted into gas chamber. That's one of the reasons that Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa, they have come out with a robust initiatives where they are going to keep a check on the vehicular pollution. And for the certain measures that have been taken, as you rightly said, you already described how that overage vehicles will not be allowed to refuel. They will neither get petrol or the diesel. I'm right now here at the RK Puram petrol pump here. I'll be talking to some of the people. Let me speak to them. बताया जाता है कि अब जो पुरानी गाड़ियां उनको तेल नहीं भरा जाएगा, यहाँ पे गैजेट लगाए जाएंगे। आप कैसे देखते हैं ये जो
पुरानी गाड़ी वाला?
पुरानी गाड़ी जो 15 साल पुरानी गाड़ी हो जाएगी उसको तेल नहीं भरने दिया जाएगा या डीजल नहीं भरने दिया जाएगा, आप कैसे देखते हैं?
ठीक है, पोल्यूशन के लिए ठीक है।
पोल्यूशन के लिए ठीक लगता है सरकार का ये इनिशिएटिव। ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि लंबी कतारें लग जाएंगी, लाइन लग जाएगी यहाँ?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है।
So he is saying, the person who is working here at the petrol pump, he says that no, there are not going to be long queues, because already we have seen that politics have started. People are saying that from the Aadmi party that this is a non-scientific kind of an approach that has been adopted by BJP government. They are saying that it will lead to more problem chaos on the petrol pump. A large number of people will be here. There will be long queues, and because of which the problem will be faced. But the question arises, what Aadmi party did when they were in power, because they only kept on blaming, either they kept on blaming Punjab or they kept on blaming their neighbor for whatever was happening, but no initiatives were taken. Let me speak to more people here. इनसे भी बातचीत करने की कोशिश करेंगे। कहा जाता है जो 15 साल पुरानी गाड़ी है उनको अब तेल नहीं भरने दिया जाएगा आने वाले दिनों में, या डीजल नहीं, अप्रैल के महीने से। आप कैसे देखते हैं ये 15 साल पुरानी गाड़ियों? लगता है कोई फर्क पड़ेगा इससे पोल्यूशन में?
पता नहीं, क्या बताऊं।
There are some people who are not quite sure about whether it is really going to make a difference. Let me speak to more people here also, try to ask them. सरकार ने कहा है जो 15 साल पुरानी गाड़ी है उनको तेल या डीजल नहीं भरने दिया जाएगा आने वाले महीनों में। आप कैसे देखते हैं सरकार का इनिशिएटिव?
ठीक ही होगा, अच्छा ही करेगी कि सरकार गलत थोड़ी डिसीजन ले।
लगता है कि आपको फायदा होगा इससे?
तो होना चाहिए, अपन तो यही मान के चलते हैं।
मैम कैसे देखते हैं आप ये सरकार के इनिशिएटिव? लगता है फायदा होगा इससे आने वाले दिनों में? या here are some people who think that yes, definitely it's going to make a difference, but some are not really sure about whether it is really going to make a difference on the ground. But yes, the government has taken certain initiatives, because they are going to introduce buses, also electric buses, because all those CNG buses will be withdrawn by 25th December. So they will try to ensure that vehicular emission is somewhere controlled, and the measures are being taken. See, revolution cannot be brought in a day. You have to start from somewhere. At least they have started from somewhere. Let's see how really it's going to pan out, how it's going to make a difference. But every time you can't be just acting like a critic to trying to criticize each and every initiative of the government and saying that it's not going to change things on the ground.
Absolutely. So because the Supreme Court had already banned vehicles up to 10 years old, the diesel vehicles in the national capital, and also the petrol vehicles up to 15 years. So there's going to be a bigger enforcement of the same, isn't it, Pradeep? To stay on with us, let's talk about the various measures that the government is now taking. The biggest, of course, being the fuel supply is going to be banned for vehicles that are older than 15 years. So remember, they are already banned in the national capital, but there are several vehicles that continue to ply. But now the petrol bunks will also be equipped to ensure they see if the vehicles are older than 15 years, then these vehicles are not going to be fueled. Apart from that, artificial rainfall will also be given in Delhi on the days that it sees severe AQI. That again is going to be a temporary measure, but it's going to be a welcome measure, because there are some days when the AQI is in the severe category, affecting the health of people across the Delhi NCR region. Now, there are also going to be new rules that are going to make it mandatory for the high-rise buildings to have anti-smog guns that would be available in these buildings. So they're going to be equipped with anti-smog equipment, and that's going to help in tackling the air pollution. Apart from that, there is going to be a crackdown on the entry of the overage vehicles. Remember, again, these rules are in place, but the government says that in the crackdown, in the effective ensuring that it is actually carried out, and that's where the real story lies. In fact, other than this, there are also going to be incentive for the university students. There are going to be plantation drives to ensure the participation of the public, especially university students. They are also going to be rewarded for the same. Incentives are going to be provided, which means that it will not just be something that is enforced by the government. There will also be a lot of citizenship, participation from the citizens that will be taking place as well. Apart from that, the barren land in the national capital will also be identified for transforming them into green spaces and rebuilding of the damaged roads. This also was one of the promises, the fact that there are potholes in the national capital. My colleague Shivam is also on the broadcast with us. Shivam, so a host of promises have been made by the BJP government just days after coming into power. And there are several of these measures that not just ensure effective implementation, but also look at the participation from the people in the national capital.
Well, definitely. And the whole point of these particular measures that have come up yesterday after the marathon meeting was just to curb down the pollution levels. Particularly, Manjinder Singh Sirsa, who is the Environment Minister of the National Capital, now has focused on vehicular emission through the rules of, the vehicles which are older than 15 years will not get fuel. Because remember, when we were also covering the peak pollution season, the winter season, when the AQI reaches to, 400 closest 450, it is the vehicular emission that gives the major contribution. Almost 40 to 50% comes from there, and that's why they have said that the petrol pumps, which from where one of the petrol pumps in Najafgarh, from where we are reporting also, these petrol pumps will not give fuel to the vehicles which are older than 15 years, petrol to 15 years. And also the official who was present at the meeting said that the diesel vehicles who are older than 10 years will not get the diesel. And how it will happen, the Manjinder Singh Sirsa has said that they will collaborate with the artificial intelligence technologies which will be installed in the CCTV cameras. Now we can see on the visuals that there are already multiple CCTV cameras installed at petrol station, various petrol stations, but which are also now used to check the pollution under control certificates. Now what the Delhi government intends to do is that through these particular CCTV cameras, they will also involve the checking process of the age of vehicles, through which they can check whether the vehicle is older than 15 years for petrol vehicles or 10 years for the diesel vehicles. And if they are found older, then the petrol pumps would refuse to refuel the vehicles. Now this has been special, and also apart from that, as you already mentioned, there have been certain compulsion made on the high-rise building and the prominent hotels that they have to install the anti-smog guns, because remember, we have seen through the time that how the municipality, how the Delhi governments keeps those anti-smog guns, those trucks on the road, because to settle down the dust during the peak season. This time it is the contribution of the hotels, of the students from the Delhi University, of the high-rise building, that they also have to contribute and come together to curb down the pollution, the overall pollution level in the national capital, because this has been an issue for long years, almost a decade now.
Often it would be short-term measures that would be taken, while stubble burning has also been blamed, and that is one of the big contributors. There was very stopgap measures that were taken by the previous government, which had come under attack from the BJP as well. Vehicular traffic and the emissions from that account for about 13% of the pollution in the national capital. So the attempt is to curb on that. Thank you for joining us with those details, Shivam and Pradeep. With that, we're slipping into a very short break here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.